At this time, I'd like to call to order the 10 July 2023 Jackson County Commission meeting. I'd like to say welcome to everybody who's here. I know we have a speaker tonight. We have a number of items in our new business agenda and several items in our work session agenda for tonight. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Manning, the county administrator, please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Mr. Gully?
Present.
Mr. Kennemer?
Present.
Mr. Buckner?
Present.
Mr. McBride?
Present.
We do have a quorum, and if all would stand, we'd like to ask our county attorney, Mr. Porter, to lead our invocation, and Commissioner Buckner to lead us in our pledge of allegiance.
Lord God, our Father in heaven, we're blessed to live in this wonderful country and this great county. It's so beautiful. We're thankful for the physical beauty we have, but also for the people that live in this county. God, we pray for those that are in public service. We pray that they will continue to serve us in a good way, that they will use their wisdom and their discretion and their judgment to govern us and to make decisions that are good for this county and good for the people of this county. We pray you watch over us and guide us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
We have the agenda that is in the packet tonight. There is one addition that is requested, and that addition will be in the new business. It'll be listed as item G. It is hiring committee's recommendation for the vacant office manager position at solid waste. Do I have a motion to approve the 10 July 2023 agenda with the addition of the hiring committee's recommendation for the vacant office manager position at solid waste?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Do we have any awards or presentations for tonight? If not, I know we have a speaker tonight, and I'd like to say thank you for being here and welcome. We do have a microphone for you, and I will let you move to the microphone, and I will ask you for a few questions just for the record. Okay? First of all, if I could get you to state your name, please.
Paulina Vivas Phillips.
And your address, please.
It's 41 Murphy Hill Road in Langston.
Okay. And are you speaking on behalf of yourself or an organization?
Myself.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I will give you 5 minutes. And I noticed you've given us a read ahead, and so please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so to start, it's not fair to give me 5 minutes to speak to fine folks because you can ask my husband, he hears me complain every day. Okay, I'm from Texas, but proud to now call Alabama home. We say back home, don't mess with Texas, but what is being done here in our community. I've lived here in Sweet Home, Alabama by our gorgeous Lake Gunnersville for the past 4 years and pick up litter on a weekly basis. Minimum 2 to 3 times at 2 to 3 hours each time. I can't catch up and it's not stopping. This is not a once or a twice a year project. We live in a beautiful area with so much potential and tourists from all over come to visit us. However, it was when a lady came to visit our community and was asked, how do you like it here? She responded with one word, dirty. That's when someone, me, must say, this is unacceptable. This hurts all our businesses, including mine. First, you need to figure out why do people litter. All true. People are lazy. People are careless to secure trash in the back of the trucks. People were never taught better. People are getting rid of an open container before being stopped by the police, or is simply part of the culture. Sadly, I've become an expert on litter from my weekly walks, and I'm convinced it's also a mental issue. Here's a couple of examples. We have the daily small wine bottle lady, or the 99 bananas guy, and their dirty little secret before going home. They need to drink, but they don't want the people at home or work to know. Also, there's the daily fast food bags tossed out so the husband or wife at home doesn't find out that he or she is gorging on food before dinner. They are ashamed, out of sight, out of mind. So what can we do? People are not stopping, and naively, I thought that people would see me and my Beagle every week and become motivated to clean up or stop throwing the trash, and it's not happening. I had hoped they would pick up a trash bag that I've collected, and in the 4 years that has happened a handful of times. People are generous with their praises and thank you, but that doesn't help me. Because of their mental issue, using reverse psychology, instead of saying you cannot litter, let's say to them it's okay to litter, but use the trash can provided to you. I've provided a map for reference. We need several high visible large trash cans along the way up 67 up to the bridge where Jackson County ends before it's outside a cafe, what used to be the Homecoming Cafe, where the people have a designated place to throw it away. I look at it as a rest stop for trash cans where people can easily access before reaching their destination, a trash stop. There are many road turnoffs where people can safely pull over, toss, and go. I included some examples of trash cans. I prefer the one that has the trash and recycle, but something's better than nothing on the right. Of course, people need to be trained on this, so we need several signs. Start with visible, keep it beautiful Alabama, next trash bin in a quarter mile before the bin so they can prepare to stop safely. Also visible, throw your trash here by the trash bins. We need scarier signs, it's against the litter, against the law to litter, fine up to whatever, as a reminder that if they don't use the bins, there's going to be consequences. At the moment, there's no visual signs. And report unlawful litter to 256, so on, like in Huntsville. Also, we need to strategically place video cameras along the way to show presence. It's against the law, but there's no consequences. So people continue to litter. People will act differently if they know that after being watched, they act differently if they know that they're being watched and recorded. Unless you have extra officers to monitor the roads, use cameras. Of course, with trash cans, we need county trash bin pickups on a once or twice a week basis. Moving along, have you considered where all the trash goes after my pickup? On average, I fill 20 to 30 Walmart shopping bags per week. I squeeze those in my small car as best as I can. Mountain Lakes Resort has been generous with letting me put the bags in their dumpsters each time, but that really isn't fair, is it? It takes away space for their members in their dumpsters. Also, there's the added cost to the business for hauling it. I'm grateful, but it's not really up to them. Honestly, going to Jackson County dumpsters is too far and costly for me to do this every week. Leaving the bags on the side of the road for someone to grab it not only looks bad, but it will stay there. No one stops for them, and it's not on schedule to pick up. I'd like to leave you with these thoughts. My Beagle and I will continue to pick up as long as we're able to do so. I get a sense of pride for helping, but need your help. With that said, 1, I will go to Marshall County with the same proposal. 2, until people are aware of the trash bin stops and cameras, we still need help picking up litter. Inmate trustees are an excellent resource for this. Can we address the Sheriff's Department? 3, this community can be amazing. With less of a mess, we can offer tourists a spectacular experience. Gunnersville has a wonderful walking trail by the lake. Why can't we do this in Jackson County along 67 to the state park up to Section? It's safer, healthier, and cleaner to get people to get out there and walk. People might get inspired to pick up along their walk if it's safer for them to do so. 4, when people come to my cabins to vacation, the first thing they comment and review is how clean the cabins are. Cleanliness is a priority, especially post-COVID. I have a 5-star rating, just saying. If people could review the cleanliness of our community, how many stars do you think we're going to get? And last but not least, I know I'm here in front of brilliant and creative people. Together we can figure this out. I'm very passionate and open to ideas because trash talking is my specialty. Thank you.
Well, you almost hit 5 minutes right on the nose, but let me say thank you for being here. Let me open the floor for our commissioners here for any comments or questions.
Thank you for sharing your passion and doing what you've been doing. Litter is an issue, and it's an issue everywhere. And so we're thankful for your help in this, and I think you've brought forth some good ideas, things for us to look at. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Langston is my hometown, and I really appreciate you taking the time and effort to go and do your part, and more than your part. I can remember probably 35, 40 years ago, well, when we first started the fire department, however long ago that was, the mayor and fire department, volunteer fire department, we would walk that road regularly and pick up trash, and it was a problem then, and it's always been an issue. And a lot of it is people that are just traveling through. I mean, a lot is people that live there, a lot of them just traveling through, but thank you for what you do, and we'll certainly do all we can to help.
Thank you.
Any other?
Yeah, I appreciate your passion. I travel that road frequently. I used to be a member of Mountain Lakes. I'm a member of Little Mountain, so I've got campers down there, and I travel and I see the trash myself quite often. And it's a problem all throughout the county. It's actually a problem all throughout our country. So, you know, it's a thing that starts with education, and we have to work with you to try to come up with some type of solution. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Go ahead.
No, Mr. Skipper, Caleb does our sanitation, and so one of the things that she's proposed is if trash dumping stations are created, would that be something that we could help with? I mean, I'm not asking you to commit to, just.
Right now in Langston, Republic has most of the service in Langston, so we're not getting a whole lot of business in Langston. I've been in Langston trying to get their business, so that'd be something I would appreciate you helping with me, because if we can get more business down there, then we're more likely to be able to help further.
What about the roads from 67, you know, from the bridge all the way up to, like, where it's Jackson County,
Yeah.
up to the bridge that I referred to, Homecoming?
I went further. I've been into Marshall County, the front end loader is commercial, so we can get into Marshall County. So I've been to the restaurant, I've been past it. I probably made it to, you said you had some cabins?
Mhm.
I probably made it there. You probably have seen my car on a window or something. But yeah, I've been pushing that area, trying to get, because I think we only got maybe 2 dumpsters in Langston, so we got to drive a truck all the way to Langston just for 2 dumpsters. It's really hard to be worth it. So if we can get the other business there, then we could do something.
I will say, if you don't mind, you've got to be careful when you start placing these dumping stations in places,
Mhm.
because people will take advantage of that, and they'll pile their household trash there, and it'll be a mess. We've got to manage that closely if we do that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that, but I feel like they don't have anywhere else to throw it, and they're trying to hide it before they get home. My first idea was to set an ordinance where, you know, homeowners and businesses have to pick up in front of them, you know. That was my first idea, but then when I think about it, you know, I thought they would retaliate against that. So then I thought, if they have a place to throw it away. And the only reason why I mentioned 99, you know, bananas, you know, bottles, and because that's what I see. And it's an every time, every week, and I'm picking it up, and I can't catch up. And I'm cleaning section by section, and then people are relittering that area, and it doesn't matter. And I just keep going and keep going. I mean, you can see I have the scratches. I'm sitting there picking it up every week.
And what you don't get picked up usually winds up in the lake.
Yeah, and and I'm glad you brought that up, because one time when we had that winds and everything, all of a sudden everything was clean, and I was like, oh my God, what happened? And then I realized the winds must have carried everything over to the lake, and how horrible is that? So there's no reason for it. People are doing it because they think it's okay. People have approached me and said, well, why are you doing that? There's people that work for the county. There's Adopt a Mile, and that's not true. There's not. I've been doing this by myself every week, hours and hours, and I'll continue to do it. I mean, when we implement something, I'm going to continue to do it. I like doing it,
Right.
you know, but I need help, and that's why I'm here.
Well, let me say thank you. Go
I'm
ahead,
just gonna
sir.
note, there's only 2 public trash cans between that whole road on South Side.
Yeah.
And it's this small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
That's it.
Well, I just want to say thank you. Not only did you come to make us aware of this problem, we are aware, I will say that, and we're aware that it's a problem across the county. But you brought some very good ideas here for us to consider, and how we can implement some of those ideas. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. If you have any other questions, like I said, I can talk about trash all day long. I'm good with that. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. With that, we'll move into the new business portion of our meeting. First are the minutes from our June 12th meeting, our June 26th special meeting, and our June 26th meeting. So do I have a motion to adopt the minutes from the June 12th, 2023 meeting and work session, June 26th, 2023 special meeting, and the June 26th, 2023 meeting and work session?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next, we have in the packet a resolution. It's a resolution to participate in the joint application for the Bridge Investment Program grant funding opportunity. Our county engineer, Mr. Campbell, briefed us on that last week. This is a joint effort among many counties in Alabama, and this resolution would make us a part of that team of counties. The resolution is to participate in the joint application for the Bridge Investment Program grant funding opportunity. And this is a commitment to improve bridge conditions and the safety, efficiency, reliability, and movement of people and freight over bridges. And to improve bridges by replacement, rehabilitation, preservation, or protection using potential funds from a planning grant. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, referred to as the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, has appropriated roughly $2.5 billion in federal funds to be awarded by the Department of Transportation and the Bridge Investment Program. And the purpose of this planning grant is to get technical assistance, engineering from an engineering consultant, AECOM of Birmingham, to help put together applications and for grant opportunities for these funds. So the county desires to join the participating counties in a joint application process, and the expected cost for Jackson County to participate would be $1,212 as our share. The total amount of the grant for the consultant would be $40,000. That's shared among all the counties participating. The grant requires a lead applicant, and the lead applicant will be Laurel County. The funding needs to be provided to the lead applicant by July the 31st of 2023. And by this resolution, we agree to all the terms, conditions of the partnership with all the other counties. And so that is the resolution that to be signed. So with that, do I have a motion to approve and sign a resolution to participate in the joint application for the Bridge Investment Program grant funding opportunity?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Next, we have a resolution for the I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Each year we nominate a member of our commission to be a member of the ACCA Legislative Committee. In that role, they serve and participate with ACCA at developing legislative initiatives that go before our state legislature. And they're very active all year in that process. This year, our member was Commissioner McBride. So we need to, by the end of this month, provide a member, nominate a member to serve on the ACCA Legislative Committee. Let me open the floor for any discussion, any interest. One thing that we have talked about in the past, I will say, is trying to let every member of our commission serve a one-year term during their first term as commission. So with that, any interest?
Just like to say that I really enjoyed serving on this committee and certainly wouldn't mind continuing to serve. We do so.
Okay. Any other comment? Okay.
I have a question for Commissioner McBride. Can you tell us a little bit about what the expectations are, the obligation on that?
Pretty much, you're gonna be making a few trips down Montgomery, meeting with the members of this delegation and listening to the ACCA discuss bills that are coming up, discuss those bills, have conversation about the pros and cons, and then we'll, as a group, vote on those bills as to whether or not we support them. And then you'll come back and share information, whether it be with the board or with the commission or news or sit downs with the folks or whatever's required, just informing the people.
Okay, so Commissioner McBride has offered to serve a second term.
I make a motion, we let him.
Okay, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well, I guess I need a second. Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
I do get ahead of myself every now and then in this process. Seems to be a repeated action most meetings. So next in the packet of our new business, we have the resolution for a digital information cooperative agreement between the Commission and ALDOT. The resolution reads, County Commission of Jackson County, Alabama, that the county enters into an agreement with the state of Alabama, acting by and through the Alabama Department of Transportation for a digital information cooperative agreement regarding the acquisition and establishment of the 2023 computerized mapping project, which agreement is before this commission, and that the agreement be executed in the name of the county by the chairman of the commission for and on his behalf, and that it be attested by the county clerk and the seal of the county affixed thereto. Be it further resolved that upon the completion of the execution of the agreement by all parties, that a copy of such agreement be kept of record by the county commission. Then it has a place for the county clerk, which would be our county administrator, to sign. With that, do I have a motion to approve and sign the resolution for a digital information cooperative agreement between the commission and ALDOT?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. To have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion or question? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. This will help us, as I understand, to have better and more precise mapping across the county, and that'll be a great help. Next in the packet, we have a motion to approve hiring committee's recommendation for a vacant HM3 position at Public Works. In your packet, you have a letter from our county engineer, Mr. Campbell, and based upon the committee's recommended selection, they are making a recommendation for the HM3 position, HMT3 position at Public Works Department, and that position pay will be set at grade 6, step 2. And they recommend that this action be effective at the beginning of the workday of July the 17th, 2023. So do I have a motion to approve the hiring committee's recommendation for the vacant HM3 position at Public Works Department?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. To have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. In our last work session, our county engineer, Mr. Campbell, discussed with us the SS4A grant agreement. This is an agreement with the Federal Highway Administration, and it is a road safety project, as stated. And so it is an award to the Jackson County Public Works as a part of the Jackson County Commission. Its sponsoring office is U.S. Department of Transportation, the Federal Highway Administration. The federal share of funding will be $84,080. The county share will be $21,020 for a total of $105,100. Also of note, TARCOG has received a $400,000 grant for the same purpose, and we will be able to participate with them and get the benefit of some of their funding. And so with that, do I have a motion to approve execution of the SS4A grant agreement?
Make that motion.
We have a motion. Do you have a second?
Y'all second that?
Do I have a second? Any discussion or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. One note, and I've discussed it with Mr. Porter, we will add a signature block down here because we are required to expend a share of funds, and there are terms and conditions that will need the county commission chairman to also be a signature of this agreement. So we'll add that, we'll add a signature block to that, and let me ask John, that should be sufficient that I have a signature in addition to Mr. Campbell's?
Yes, sir, that should take care of it.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we have a motion to approve the hiring committee's recommendation for the vacant office manager position at the Solid Waste Department. Hiring committee met today and has made a selection, recommended selection for approval by the commission. So you have a letter in your packet from Mr. Caleb Skipper, our solid waste director, and with approval, the office manager position at Solid Waste Department is a letter of recommendation of who that pay will be set at grade 10, step 1. Do I have a motion to approve the hiring committee's recommendation for the vacant office manager position at the Solid Waste Department?
I'll make the recommendation.
I'll second.
Do I have a second? So a motion and a second.
Make that motion.
Any discussion or question? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. With that, that concludes our new business portion of the meeting, and we will move into discussion items in work session. First, under solid waste, would like Mr. Caleb Skipper, if he would, to the microphone. We have several items here. The first is, at our last meeting, we discussed the organization charts, job classifications, and job descriptions for our solid waste department. We are upgrading these job descriptions and the organization chart. Our job descriptions are based on the Auburn study to a large extent with input from our solid waste department. The classifications and the job descriptions were sent by email to everyone. Otherwise, you would have had a packet about 2 inches thick. And so with that, let me turn the floor over to Mr. Skipper.
This is something, I first thank y'all for letting me speak tonight. I want to thank HR for dealing with me and getting this done. It took a little bit, but we finally got it done. There's a few changes we wanted to do to it. Underneath, let's see, route supervisor at the very bottom, we got facility floater. It was recycle tech. I wanted to change it to facility floater. That way we can include the enforcement side of it. That way when the cans are done, they can go out and help them on the enforcement side. So I changed that name to facility floater. And then next, we have underneath office manager, financial clerk. They both were office clerks, but one was doing commercial, another was doing residential. The commercial is more work side of it. So I wanted to change that to a grade 5 to a grade 6 and make that a stepping stone for, getting in at the bottom, working your way up. And then last, the enforcement officer. We have an assistant enforcement officer. It was a grade 5, and I'm recommending to change it to a grade 5 to a grade 6.
Okay. Any questions? Are we okay with putting this on the new business agenda for our next meeting? There's no urgency with doing this and approving this at this meeting, right?
And you want to advertise?
Only thing that I would like to do is advertise for the facility floater because we're needing that position
And so you'll need the org chart and the job description approved to advertise.
Yes, I don't need to advertise with the
Okay?
name that we're changing it from.
We
So-
would also need to advertise for the one financial clerk, since you've got one moving up.
Yes,
We will after the vote.
yeah, after the vote.
Tonight.
Yes, sir, sorry.
Okay. So with
Both of
that,
those changes, that's a
do,
good point. Both of those changes
Yeah.
would need to be
Do-
made.
do we want a motion to set aside the rules to approve the solid waste org chart, job classifications, and job descriptions?
I'll make that motion.
So we have a motion to set aside the rules. So with that, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the solid waste department's new organizational charts, job descriptions, and job classifications?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item in solid waste is a new front-end loader. This is a part of our business with solid waste that has been increasing. And so let me, there is a need for a new front-end loader, so let me turn it over to Director Skipper.
So our front end loader that we have right now, we only have one. It's going on 5 years old now. We're having issues with it. We had to send it to Madison to get some work done to it. We actually just received it Friday evening. They brought it back to us. We had to rent a truck from Illinois. It cost us $10,600 for a month to rent the truck. This is for our commercial front end loaders. You know, in the past, we depended on Scottsboro and to help us out, but their backup truck was down. I've talked to their director, and he's working on a rental agreement too. So the days of us getting somebody to help us out for free are coming to an end. And we really need this truck. It's got too many miles on it, too many issues. We're starting to see more and more issues to it. So we've luckily reached out, and somebody backed out on this truck. It's actually the sister truck of what Scottsboro Solid Waste is getting. It's available this December. I talked to the sales rep. He said if we ordered one today, he said 1.5 years is what it's looking like to get a new truck. So if our truck goes down again, we'll just have to keep renting a truck to get this garbage. I think y'all got the price on it. Do y'all have the trade-in value?
I don't think so.
Yes.
Is it here?
The bid is on page 3.
No, sir, no, sir.
Oh, page 3? Okay, yeah.
So IEC, they offered a buyback program. City of Scottsboro's doing that. So what it is, we'll drive the truck for 2 years, and as long as it meets the criteria and nothing messed up on it, they'll buy it back for $240,000. So roughly, it'll cost us about $68,000 a year to run it for the 2 years.
So what would keep them from giving us $240,000 back? What kind of?
Something major, but insurance would cover it, with no warranty. Here's I don't know if y'all have this. This is kind of a breakdown of our revenue, costs, landfill fees.
So when we rented that truck for a month, how much money did we lose actually when all said and done?
How much did we lose?
Yeah.
Well, it cost us $10,600 to rent it.
Right, after we made money on what we picked up.
I mean, you just subtract that's the only way I know to do is just that paper there, just our revenue, just subtract the $10,600 from it would be what we made.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Then here's also the First Southern that we bank with is a way we can finance it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I can figure it out.
I didn't.
You're cool.
Okay, you get back that wrong number.
So I reached out to Scottsboro Solid Waste Director and talked to him, and they're financing their trucks right now because it's hard to buy that many trucks with cash on hand. Previously, that's what we've done. We've got 3 trucks coming. One's coming in September, 2's coming in October, and these are sidearm trucks, our residential. So that money's going to go away. We'll get the money back to purchase this, but I don't think we'll have it by December.
So the trucks you have coming that we've already ordered, we have money in budget to cover those?
Yes, sir.
Those trucks. So this is the truck that right now you would not be sure that you have money in December.
But the trucks coming in are not front end loaders, right?
No, sir. The trucks that are coming in are sidearms. They're residential cans.
Are you proposing that we borrow the money from First Southern?
That would be my recommendation, unless y'all want to loan it to us. The commission. But I don't even know if we can.
Okay, Bob, any comment?
Comment I'd have would be, it's, you know, depending upon how much more we increase our commercial between now and then, we possibly would have money to pay for it, but it's an unknown factor at this point. So I would prefer to leave that open for your decision when it gets closer to that time, not commit to borrowing the money right
So
now.
our commitment right now would be approve the purchase order to purchase. Make the decision on how we pay for it at the time that,
As it gets
that
closer.
yeah.
Then we could discuss that a little more in depth during our budget meetings over the next couple of weeks, and really kind of dig into that front end loader business a little bit deeper too. Because you set new dumpsters, they're getting more commercial business now, but it's hard to figure exactly how much that's going to provide for us between now and December.
Okay. Let me
Yeah, I
ask-
just wanted to provide this to let y'all see an option if we
Sure.
didn't have it, where we could still get it.
Let me ask what's your take from what you're hearing across the county and in your service area about the front end loader business?
Our business is growing. We've set over 25 dumpsters since April. So our business is growing. But when our truck breaks down and we can't get the garbage, you lose the business. So my recommendation, we buy one, and then the one we've got is keep it as a backup. 'Cause it's an older truck, we're probably not gonna get a whole lot out of it. And then that way, when we keep growing, I can have 2 routes eventually, maybe 2 routes on one day, and just keep building the business.
Okay.
If I
Question,
may add-
comments, go
If I
ahead.
may add one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
We just sold one of the trucks and just received a check today for one of the trucks.
Yes, sir. The
And
truck
I believe
17.
As the other ones come in, you said we're gonna sell
Yes, sir.
some of the other ones, and it's gonna provide roughly how much?
If we get what we got out of the other one, we might can make another 150,000. I would say no less. So at least another 150.
That would be 200,000 between the one we just sold and 3 other ones. So see, that would improve the cash flow also. To
So that
possibly.
would be available for purchase.
Is that your plan to save that for that purpose?
Well, to buy more trucks.
That's what I meant.
Because this is a truck that we need. This is a need. After this, I'll move on to the next one because there'll be another truck we'll need to buy. And then next year, there'll be another truck we need to buy. So we just got to get in a rotation of turning these trucks over and not keeping them so long when they're not worth anything.
How many miles are you running on your residential trucks right now before you sell?
I'm really not certain because, some of them, this one that we just sold, it was a 2014. It's almost 10 years old.
A couple 100,000 miles?
So, yes, sir.
Okay.
We really need to sell these trucks before we lose warranty in these trucks. That way we're not taking a big hit on maintenance.
Okay, the question before us is, do we approve a purchase order? Now, I'm gonna ask, if we get to a point later on where we decide that if we were to decide that the business is not viable, with a purchase order, we committed on the truck?
I mean, that's just bad business to me, you know.
Well, I understand that,
Okay.
I just need to know an answer.
If we can get out,
Yeah.
I say we can. Because somebody's gonna
I
buy it. If
understand
we
the
don't,
commitment is not a good thing to back
yes,
out
sir.
of. but some
If
people-
we don't buy it, the reason why they haven't sold this truck already is he promised, hey, I'm gonna hold it for you.
Okay.
You get me an answer. I told him I'd give him an answer, and he's trying to get our business back is what it is.
I just have to ask
Yeah.
the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any comments? Go ahead. You would need purchase order authorization tonight?
Yes, I told him I'd give him an answer by the end of June. And I talked to him last week, and I said, hey, I'm hoping to get an answer this month, 1st of July.
Okay, so the question before us is to set aside the rules and authorize purchase order, and then hold the decision
This is on
on
state
method of
Yes, sir.
payment
Yes.
later.
And so with the new truck, I mean, do you see an increase in your profit?
Right now, we're projecting 40,000 just this year. You know, and I say this year, by the end of the year, is what we're looking at. So not the fiscal year 2023, but December 2024. That's what we're looking at right now. I believe that's the numbers I've been getting. And we're setting more dumpsters. I'm hoping to set a few more.
How many more dumpsters do you have available, Seth?
Right now, we have 6 yards, 8 4 yards, and 8 yards. I ordered some new ones.
So if you're at full capacity on your front-end loader business, how many dumpsters are out there?
Right now, we got 225, and we're just now starting to add routes to Friday because we're only running a route Monday through Thursday. So I'm trying to make a new route for Friday, so we can potentially add another 60 more dumpsters. Because that's about average 50 to 60 a day. And again, that goes to having that backup truck where if we have 2 pools instead of 1 pool, we can send that other truck out to pick up somewhere else.
So again, just so I understand everything completely, so this is the Ingram equipment is your bid for the new truck, correct?
Yes, sir.
We're not looking at trading this truck in.
This truck that we're
The
buying,
one we're replacing this one.
We're keeping the old one.
we're keeping the old one. Yes, sir.
We're not gonna trade.
We're not going to
It's
trade.
gonna be our backup.
It's going to be our backup.
So we'll get no value from that other than retaining it for our use.
Yes, sir.
And we're looking at trading 3 other trucks or selling 3 other surplus trucks for revenues to go toward possibly the purchase of this toward the end of the
Yeah,
year.
and how Ingram works is that's one of the ones that bought our last truck. They'll even do a trade-in value. So by that time, we can even do a potentially $150,000 trade-in value to this truck.
But you don't want to trade this truck. You want to keep the truck you have.
The old truck, the sidearm trucks that we're getting rid of, the 3. Sorry.
If it needs an answer tonight, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to set aside the rules to proceed with the purchase order.
Okay, so we have a motion to set aside the rules.
I'll second.
Proceed. Do we have a second?
I'll second
We
that.
have a second. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. So do I have a motion to authorize our solid waste department to issue a purchase order for a new front-end loader?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so unanimous. Okay, thanks. Next
Thank
is-
y'all, and the employees will thank you too.
Next is to review the bids that you have on the 3 pickup trucks that we approved for surplus and sale in the previous meeting. So go ahead, please.
Yeah, we took bids on pickup trucks. We advertised to seven or eight different companies. We had 2 bids come in. The 2 bids are in front of you. My recommendation would be the cheaper one. I looked at it, they're the same truck. One's a GMC, one's a Chevrolet. So the GMC is a little more, but for what we need, you know, I'd recommend the cheaper.
Our local dealers didn't put in a bid?
No, sir, only bids we got is what's in front of you.
Make sure I understand, how many trucks?
3 trucks.
3 trucks, each at this price?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was will we surplus the trucks? Have we gotten the
They won't sell till September.
September?
Yes, sir.
You had a guarantee?
We had a guarantee of
105 or so?
Of 56,000. Guarantee of 56,000.
56, okay, I'm thinking of another surplus with it, okay.
How many bids did you solicit? How many companies did you solicit from for bids?
I'll have to go back and look. It was a list that Aldot sent me, state bids. It was 7 or 8. I should have had that now, my bad. But it was several, and we mailed it to everyone.
That include local?
Yes, sir.
They just did not respond?
That's all we got. And the thing is, that price that Donahue's prepared, I spoke to them, that's the state bid price. So there's no state bid vehicles right now. You can't get them. So they're giving us the truck that means you can buy at a state bid price. So I get why other companies didn't put in a bid, because they can't give that price like Donahue's give. Because MSRP on there is 53, I believe it's on there, 53,000. So I mean, they're $10,000 cheaper than MSRP.
So what do we use these trucks for?
Right now, enforcement. That's what we're needing mostly. That's where 2 of them will go. One of our enforcement officers is driving an older Ford. It's going to go to the auction. The other enforcement officer is driving an older Ford Ranger.
So those are the ones we already talked about, the Ranger and one of the other.
Yes, sir. So the trucks that we're surplus are
3 that we are surplus.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We're going to replace them with these.
Okay.
I'm confused. So what do we need a $53,000 truck for if it's not making us money?
43,000.
Well, okay,
Okay.
semantics.
So that's the cheapest you're going to go on a truck, a pickup truck. That's the state bid price.
So what is this truck?
It is a Chevrolet 4-wheel drive crew cab work truck. It's a basic package.
Educate me, what's a crew cab mean?
4 doors.
Full 4 dollars.
Here I've got.
Is that 1,500?
Yeah, yes, sir. That's a 1,500. I've got one.
So you send people out in groups of 4?
No, sir. I'm sending. Most of the time I can send 2, but all the stuff that they have will go on the back of the truck. The double cab, we got quotes on it. The double cab was only $1,500, $2,000 more. But our last meeting, we went with the crew cab trucks to take bids on it.
So are you planning on keeping these trucks and running them, or are you going to try to put them in
Oh.
a rotation like similar to Public Works?
Yes, sir. I want to put them in a rotation like Public Works. Yes, sir.
So that's why you're looking at the crew cabs, so that they sell better.
Yes, I've talked to J.M. Wood and different ones, and I'm looking at what we get the most money out of. These cost $1,500 to $2,000 more, but we're more likely to get more out of them in the long run when we trade them.
Do you have any thoughts on what you'll get for them when we do trade them in?
Not right now. I know they're doing good. These F-250s that we're selling, they offered us $7,000 more than what we paid for them. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, hoping it's going to still be that way, but you don't know what tomorrow holds.
Okay, any other questions?
This is, so This is not something we necessarily need to act on tonight since this is in the work
No,
session. This is just for advisement, correct?
So we have 90 days on that bid.
You get 90 days on the bid, and then you're not going to liquidate your other trucks that you're declared surplus that they're driving now until September, correct?
I'd like to get them out in August at least. I gotta get the exact date of when we gotta get them down there, but I know the sale's in September.
So this is something we can look at, take under advisement for the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we put it on the new business agenda for the next meeting? Okay. All right, thanks very much.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate all the work. And appreciate the work of your folks.
Yes, they've been, I gotta brag on them. They've had a rough week already. It's Monday, and they've stepped up and they're getting the job done. I actually just got a text message from one of them. He said, "We just got in," so.
Wow, long day. Thank you. Next, on the work session agenda is our EMA department. Director of EMA, Paul Smith, is here. We asked him to look at two things at the last meeting. Well, one is to get with the city of Scottsboro on the potential of them participating in a multi-purpose room. That would be a storm shelter located at our county park. But also they have approached us regarding partnership on our Code Red program. So, Mr. Smith?
So, a couple of weeks ago, Chairman Nance and Commissioner Kenmer and I met with the mayor and one of the council members in the city of Scottsboro, specifically about what you mentioned during the last meeting about if they want to partner with us on maybe working with a safe room. I think I'm safe to say that they have no interest at all in partnering with us on this safe room. That's the indication that we got from that meeting. They are interested in, I wouldn't call it piggybacking off the county's Code Red system, but they like to have two seats at the table to where that they can use that system locally in case they needed to do a citywide shelter in place, a citywide broadcast or announcement over the Code Red system. And of course, we wouldn't be able to do that or wouldn't want to do that unless they were prepared to help us monetarily pay that thing every year. And the reason why they want to piggyback off ours and not start with a brand new thing is we've got about, 14 years worth of data in that system. It's 23,000 individual records. They don't want to start over from scratch collecting all that data and phone numbers and addresses and such. So just makes sense for them to piggyback off ours. They want to get into the mass notification business here locally. And I think that's because they're looking at phasing out some older warning systems. That I agree with what they're thinking about doing. So that's the thinking behind that. Wouldn't be anything, I don't think, that require any kind of vote or agreement on the Code Red portion of that. I think we can do that under a memorandum of understanding with them and nothing major, but things you need to know about what's going on.
Thinking about the discussion we had the other day with them, what control do they gain that we may lose by giving them administrative role at the table?
We don't lose any control. They would gain basically the control to broadcast local area broadcast. Doesn't affect weather warnings. They can't put out their own weather warnings. Those are triggered automatically by the National Weather Service. We don't even do that. That's just a carrier for that. So, it may just be something as simple as, there's some police activity on South Broad Street. If you're in that area, please shelter in place or stay away from it or don't go that way. They'd like to be able to do that instantaneously. And with Code Red, you can do that.
And we also had a discussion that they would draft an MOU and the consideration of help funding the Code Red.
Which would still,
Have we seen anything from them on that?
We have not. I think they're still mulling that over amongst themselves, and of course we'd have to negotiate that. We want it to be fair for them and fair for us, of course.
They did make a comment about researching a smaller shelter.
I was about to ask, what size shelter did you present to them?
Well, we presented all three sizes, but now they're of the opinion that they would rather use the old tube type. And, you know, we're good with the old tube type, but that's all it can be used for, is a storm shelter. This hazard mitigation money through the state of Alabama, you know, they like for you to have places for folks to cool off when it's 105 degrees, and places for folks to warm themselves when it's down close to zero, as we had last Christmas. So this would be a multi-use deal. It wouldn't just be sitting there rusting away between tornadoes. So that's why we thought the money is better spent going that direction, and that's where everybody else in the state of Alabama seems to be moving with their shelters, is a multi-use type shelter.
And so I assume that there's grants available for what you're proposing.
Yeah, we've got $5.3 million sitting on the table right now. We just need to know how much to ask the state of Alabama for. 75-25, so whatever you ask them for, the commission will be responsible for 25% of that. Now, the three example shelters that we received, the prices were, and I'm just going to be rough with these, $600,000, $900,000, and $1.2 million. And that goes from holding 399 folks to 699 folks, up to, I think, almost 900 folks on the big one.
And that smallest one would be twice what we can fit in our basement in the courthouse.
Absolutely, if not 3 times.
Okay.
FEMA requires that you have 5 square feet per individual in a shelter, but y'all have seen at some of the schools,
Yeah.
you use every square inch. If you need to use them, you use them.
Not leaving anybody outside.
No, can't.
Right.
So you indicated that they didn't seem interested in partnering.
That was my takeaway from the meeting. I think the chairman agrees with that, and I'm not sure about Commissioner Kennemer, but they didn't seem to want to go that direction.
They didn't say yes.
Inside discussions I had,
We're not
they
hopeful.
didn't think that it would be used much. Our issue is that we have a campground over there that has how many?
Stephen, how many you got over there now?
150, 200, 300 people, depending on.
And that's a lot, you know, people.
And we've talked about expanding the size of that
We need
campground,
someplace for
so.
them to shelter in.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, and if we host events over there or anything, they've got to go somewhere.
I was here the Sunday at Bassmasters downstairs trying to monitor weather for them. We had 1,000 boats on Lake Garnisville
Yeah.
that Sunday.
I'm intrigued by a multi-purpose room, particularly if it can be used on a daily basis and just converted.
Stephen and I visited the one over at Plainview High School. Now, the only difference in the one that they have built and the one that we're proposing is the ones we're proposing would be climate controlled. Theirs is not climate controlled. But they can, I think they told us they can put 1,200 students inside that safe room.
Looks more like an auditorium, doesn't it?
It looks like an auditorium with a 7.5-foot ceiling.
That's right.
So,
Go ahead.
so what ideas would you have of making it?
I would want to advertise it as being available for family reunions, especially during the summertime. We offer the Civitan Pavilion. There's no, I mean, there's fans, but it doesn't cool it off that much in the middle of July, August. Birthday parties. I don't know if we could really rent it for this purpose, but in AA meeting locations, things like that. Things that would still serve the community, but also personal events.
And you said there were no limitations on what we use it for.
To my understanding, it is a,
We rent it for whatever we want.
it is a multi-purpose structure, which meets FEMA requirements for a storm shelter.
So let me ask, do you need, when do you, by the end of July?
I need an amount tonight. This letter of intent needs to be sent in by end of business next Monday.
Okay.
So we just need, I have the letter of intent ready to go. It's actually ready for the chairman's signature. I just need an amount that the commission would like to go
You
with.
need the size of the shelter.
You know, the
When do you expect, given that this is a grant process, we've experienced grants taking 6-7 years.
Yes.
What would you expect
I
on
won't,
that?
I won't see it come to fruition. My last day will be January 1st, 2025. I won't see it come to fruition. It's a
So
time consuming
we're submitting a
process.
grant request.
We
We
are.
can approve or disapprove the grant request whenever it
You
comes in.
can turn, if you are awarded money, you can offer at that time. If you don't have the 25%
Do we
to
need to
say,
vote to submit a grant
We pass
request or
on it.
vote at point of grant?
Considering he's got several options, I think you need to vote on and give him direction on which one to apply for.
Okay.
So I was gonna ask, what, 25% of what?
25% of 600,000, 900,000, or 1.2 million, depending on capacity.
So if we went with the larger, and then we submitted for that, when the time gets closer to come, and we decide, well, we really don't have matching funds for that, could we downsize at that time?
I don't know that you can downsize, it's possible. I don't want to speak to that because I've never had run into that situation. You could either choose to accept the funding or not, or pass on the funding. You're not locked in just because you asked for the funding and you intend to apply for the funding, you're not locked into it. Now, you could, depending on how much money they gave you, you could kind of modify your plan around that. We planned to do this, but we didn't get that amount of money, or we don't have that amount of money to pay the 25% match or do the in-kind. But also, this is a competitive grant, so you may get nothing. You may get $500,000, you may get nothing.
Just curiosity, if you went with the smaller unit, is it possible to build that or set it around closer to the camp area where that's the majority
As
of
long as you
people
keep it above 601, you could put it anywhere in that county park you wanted to. Now,
Just curious.
just keep in mind, they have to bring that thing in on tractor, trailer, truck, and they have to have some pretty heavy equipment, cranes and such to place it.
If they're not gonna be running 180 or 300 yards to get to a shelter,
Sure. We hope before then, if we're doing our job, they're watching out for the weather and they know to be moving toward that shelter before they get a warning. Of course, that's, you never know.
A choice, right?
You never know.
Could be very accessible and close to the camp, but also that's a great view for a venue. Of course, there've been ideas of campsites and other things up there.
As long as you keep in mind that when the time comes, that's a storm shelter, it's a warming center, it's a cooling center. Anything else you use it for after that, it's at your discretion.
Okay. So I guess the issue before us, given the timing that you have, is make a decision on size so that you can make an application. Your recommendation?
My recommendation for now, and know that these are modular, so they can be expanded later on. You're not
Okay.
set once they set that thing in there. You can make this, it's like a big set of Lincoln logs. You can make this thing just as big as you want to make it, depending on how much property you have there. My recommendation right now would be to do the $399. That would suffice for what we have at the park currently. But now, like I said, you can go on up to a $699 or an $899. It's just a matter of how many dollars you want to ask the state for, and knowing that there's only 5.3 million available statewide. That's for 67 counties.
Yeah. Okay, so the recommendation from Director Smith is for the $399 size. So we do need to set aside the rules again and make a vote. So do I have a motion to set aside the rules?
Make that motion.
We have a motion to set aside the rules. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to submit a grant application?
Letter
for
of
a-
intent.
I'm sorry?
Letter of intent.
A letter of intent for a multi-purpose room for the Jackson County, the size of $399.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion to have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks very much. Next,
Get your signature along here.
okay, show me where. Right there. All right, thank you, sir. Next, we will move to the park, our county park, Director Stephen Perea. We have two topics of discussion that has come up in discussion that we've had recently with Director Perea. The need for a new control access point system, the one at the campground is failing. And then discussion of a maintenance program for docks in the campground. So, Director Perea, the floor is
Good
yours.
evening, gentlemen. Yeah, as we've stated before, our control access points at the park are basically flying blind. I have no communication from the office to the terminals themselves. I cannot change anyone's codes. I cannot prevent anyone from entering with key cards. I cannot make new key cards for new people that are renting there. Same issue at the ADOC for those renters there. They have, the cards that they have, is it. If they lose one, if they break it, they have to use a code. Then when I give them a code, I have no ability to change it or prevent them from entering at a later date. Looking into some systems and hopefully being able to integrate it into a online reservation system where all these components will start talking to each other. If you rent a campground, it'll provide you with a code that expires at the end of your reservation. Some of these systems are going to run, because we're looking at a complete system replacement. So the gate, personnel gate, and computer software, all of those items. We're talking anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 as far as costs for the systems I've seen. Myself and Ross have talked to local companies that provide this service. The only problem is we've gone to them so many times asking for bids that they're kind of gun shy about doing it again because we don't follow through on them. We've let them kind of hang a few times.
Previous commissions, not you.
Correct, yeah. Previous to me even being here, so.
Do you have documentation of the cost?
I do not have any with me tonight, no. I just kind of wanted to bring this and make everyone kind of aware of how bad it's kind of gotten with this system.
How old is our current system now? Do you know?
The gate is over 10 years old. The cabins were put in right when the cabins finished being built in 2016.
So nothing usable that we have?
No, it's bad.
And the software itself, I've reached out to the manufacturer of the software, and when I told them what we were using, they said they couldn't even help because it's not supported anymore. Yeah.
So right now is the park, the campground portion of the park, almost free access for people going in?
Yes and no. So anyone that has a code, that has been given a code, if they go up to the gate keypad, punch it in, they're going to realize, oh, I can still get in. Someone just riding around the park that doesn't know a code or doesn't realize that, they're not going to be able to just pull up and go in.
So the code, is it associated to a name or is it one code?
It is. So previously, each renter, tenant, employee would personalize their own code, and that was the code they would use. Well, now, with us not having the ability to provide those codes, it's just, hey, we know this code works.
So they can give it out to anybody they know, and it's kind of, you don't know who's on the,
Exactly.
on the ground.
Yeah.
That's not-
Or if tenants fail to pay their monthly lease, I have no way of denying them access, so they could leave us with a bill, pull their camper out. Or now, we go around, anybody that's delinquent on their payment, we lock up their camper so that they can't just haul it out.
So is this something you're looking at paying for out of county park funds, or is this something you're looking for the commission to pay?
So we had discussed this,
Bob, comment?
Yeah, we discussed this already, and this is we can use our capital expenditure fund for purchases like that. And with the current situation of the park budget, as we'll see when we go through next year's budget for the park, I would say it would need to be paid for out of capital expenditures fund.
Capital expenditure fund, so everybody knows, is for building.
Buildings and properties that
Property
that
maintenance.
the county owns and maintains, correct, John? so that'd be fine. So in a situation like him, we don't, first of all, we gotta get the quotes, or we gotta,
Right.
how much money we're talking about, then we gotta, is it something that's gotta be bid or not? So, you know, we got a couple things we gotta overcome there. But, at this point, I would recommend the usage of our capital expenditures fund for that.
Okay.
If it's under $50,000, it does not have to be bid, since it is a capital improvement.
What kind of time frame are we looking at as far as, if we did something on this now, how long would it take for them to install and, stuff going?
So that, I don't know, just because I don't know what supplies are looking like right now, as far as
So it could be a year down
availability.
the road if we, depending on supply and demand. Yeah.
Will you know any of that information by tomorrow?
No,
Okay.
no, I won't.
So I would recommend that we keep it on the work session for the
Please.
next meeting, let you investigate the type of system that we need. We need to understand that. And also potential price for the system.
3 years ago, we looked at putting it on the same system as what we all have here, and that was I think it was a $14,000 quote, and that kind of allowed a computer here to also be able to access things over there, so it kind of had a backup component to that. But that system, I don't know, had the capability that Stephen's talking about with the online reservations and things like that, so,
Yeah,
which I think would be beneficial for him. But
seems not just a benefit to the park management, a security issue as well. Okay,
Check availability as to when they can get it if we want.
okay. So we'll put it on the work session agenda for the next meeting. Next is a maintenance program for docks. And I asked the director to discuss this. If you've been out there and walked some of the docks in the park, they're getting in old and bad shape. Can't describe it any other way. My concern is potential liability of boards falling through, and so I've asked him to take a look at what we could do and some thoughts on that.
So in my past year, basically, all we've been able to do is replace boards as they deem bad enough to replace. But it's not really helping. The boards, or the pillars that actually go into the water, are starting to become fairly loose. Some of the docks, when you walk out on them, there's as much as a foot worth of sway. And yeah, it's a matter of time before we hurt somebody on these docks. And that's, right now our worst ones are HB, which is one of our rental docks, and the 5 day use docks around the campground. If we move forward, I would hope, or I would recommend, instead of 5 day use, we would go 2, one on the front side, one on the back side. HB has to be addressed, and possibly even adding another rental dock to generate funds for not only paying for the docks that we're fixing and replacing, but to also carry on a maintenance program to where we can keep these docks up and they're self-funded.
Are you looking at floatable docks as well?
That would be my recommendation, is all aluminum floating.
I don't think so. There goes your maintenance out the window.
Yep.
Okay. So this is a question of, do we want to proceed looking into this so that we can bring back more information to the commission on if we were to do this, what's cost per and that kind of stuff. We just don't have that data right now, but it was just an awareness that we need to start looking at.
Yeah, I would be interested in the totality of your recommendations and the individual parts of it, because it may be something we can incrementally do, or maybe they can find the money and do it, but we're running a risk of a much higher payday.
Very much so.
Safety.
Are there TVA grants for that kind of stuff?
I don't
Since it's
think,
on the water at the dock?
maybe not TVA grants.
That'd be a decade.
But we will have to go through the TVA approval process for
We will.
anything we touch on the water.
Yes.
Yes, we will.
I'm not sure if it's a 1-for-1 replacement, same size, same footprint. I believe our previously approved 26 alphas will carry over to that because it's seen as upkeep. But I would have to reach out to our point of contact at TVA to ask that.
Okay.
I do have a point of contact with State Fish and Wildlife, that he's involved with a lot of the boat ramps and things like that, and I can ask him if he knows of any grants that we could go after, or any state level help.
Okay. Any further? Well,
Back to, if you don't mind, the safety concerns that I have when you're talking about a dock that moves a foot, is now that we're aware of that, then that capability is a little bit more.
yeah.
What's on there, explain what's on the docks?
So the day use docks are for people that are camping at the campground. They can launch their boat, and during their stay, they can keep it moored up.
The ones that have the
It's not
the
covered.
berthing
not
positions
covered.
there.
There's no power, there's no water provided to them. It's
Okay.
just a day slip.
Okay, let's continue to investigate
Okay.
and bring information to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, last area in our work session is Public Works. We have 4 items to discuss there. Rebuild Alabama project, selection, access management policy, fleet truck surplus and purchase, and also proposed budget amendment. Mr. Campbell? I would offer, you don't have to stay through the whole session, but if you're interested in that, that's fine, but.
This was gonna be a long one.
All right.
That's not very nice.
Okay, Tom.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. So the same as presented before, essentially, and I'll cover the differences. It is time for a couple things that is driving the Rebuild Alabama project selection. So I'm referencing the large packet of information with pictures and road numbers listed. Mr. Buckner, I think you may have missed this last presentation, so for you and for everybody else, there were a couple of projects added, just to be all inclusive of the projects that were originally submitted with the bonding rebuild. So just rest assured, all those projects that we originally submitted as a template are listed on this project selection page. And the additions that I referenced were 98, 75, and then pavement preservation on 67. And you'll find those in the last section near the bottom under the major minor collector pavement preservation section. So I mentioned schedule-wise on what's driving. Just as a reminder, Rebuild Alabama Act statute requires a transportation plan be adopted by the end of August. So as I see it and as we see it, and until we learn more about exact amounts of the bonding, the $4.5 million project selections should serve as our transportation plan. If there's further allocation needed and the other funds, federal aid exchange and the other rebuild funds, then we'll obviously adapt that plan to accommodate that. But we do know, I think we know that amount, and so selecting those projects to allocate those funds toward would do a couple things. It would satisfy the transportation plan, but it would also serve as achieving value, we feel like, in the annual bid process. And that's going to come sooner than that transportation plan. So our other annual bid items will go out, mail out this week actually, and start the advertising process this week. We do have time for evaluation and project selection, but if there's a schedule that's allowable for selection by next meeting time, that would keep us on track for a bid opening and inclusion in these projects in that solicitation. So essentially it gives contractors information on knowing where the projects will be performed and the quantities, rough quantities that would be included in what they're bidding on. So it would lead to more advantageous pricing as we enter into the annual bid process. So I mention it for those reasons. Please find the pictures that are attached to this. And then obviously our database that we work from on the hot mix roadway network, that includes local roads. On page 2 of that, and the first is major minor collectors. So the roads that are highlighted in purple
Those are major collectors, and those were in that original submission through the bonding plan that we submitted to AlDOT. And then yellow, red, and green, those help dignify the age on those sections of roadway. So if you do not like the projects that are on the page on the front, you can all reference that database for other projects. Just as a recommendation of area of focus, the ADT is always an interest of ours from a pavement management standpoint, but then also the length of the project, that ADT, and the price tag. So I would present to you that we have an opportunity with this amount of funding to probably select some of those sections of roadway that are very lengthy to where we otherwise may not be able to afford. So our eyes usually always go to that high ADT, and in this situation, the high price tag of an aged pavement to where we can make an improvement that perhaps otherwise we wouldn't be able to afford. I think I'm going to leave it there. I feel like that's a lot, and I want to answer any questions about this before I move on.
Questions, but let me ask. This is an important selection we have coming up here. We're looking at, like you say, the 4.5 plus what we have left over. And I would offer that it may be of value for us to have a work session next week at your location and get around the table with all the data that you have and put together the plan and make these selections. That would have that, hopefully if we can do that before the next meeting for you, maybe with this as well as, would that be in time for your bid notices?
Absolutely. So if we, the way we have it figured, if there's a selection made by the next meeting date, then we can have mail-outs and advertisement begin shortly thereafter. There'll be a 3 consecutive week advertisement. Then there'll have to be a bid opening obviously after that. And then that would give us an opportunity to put it back in front of you guys for review and then approval of the annual bids. But the key component of moving sooner rather than later is once the projects are identified, then that will give us information to include in that solicitation. So it really drives the quantities and location and ultimately a better price.
Also with our, we start our budget hearings tomorrow, and we have the discussion on Public Works in the morning. That allows us to understand where we are in the budget process and things that we may be able to do inside that budget, and have that available for us at the table whenever we sit down and go through this process. So I would propose if there's a time, it would have to be next week. It'll have to be no earlier than Tuesday of next week that we could do that. So is there a day next week that would be convenient to everybody for us to get together?
Not for me.
Okay.
No. I don't want to do that.
Okay. Everybody else?
I'm going the rest of this week after today. So next week.
You're talking about after the 18th, correct?
Yes.
That's after Tuesday?
Yeah. Tuesday or later next week. Sometimes we have to take time to.
I could do the 20th that evening.
I think I have to be in Montgomery on the 20th.
I could do the 21st that evening. We can late, like 4 o'clock.
Okay. I'm not available on the 18th. I'm in Montgomery on the 18th. So the 21st?
I think I'm supposed to be in Montgomery on the 20th to the 22nd. Let me check.
So let me offer, we may not solve this tonight, if you look at your calendars and try to get dates to me by tomorrow, and we'll set a date.
Hey, Bill, what about the 24th? I mean, that's the day of the meeting. We meet earlier.
Monday.
Well, that's fair.
It-
We've done that before. That worked pretty well.
That work better for anybody?
Very good.
I can do the 21st.
24th in the morning?
I can do the 24th.
Good idea. Okay. 24th, plan out 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Jonathan?
Yes,
Okay, you
sir, sounds
at your
good. And
place?
we walked through some of these recommendations. I mean, I can mention some projects now if you'd like to kind of roll us around.
Okay. I do have one other question on, are we going to talk to your bid process separately?
As far as annual bids, you mean?
We talked, you and I and AJ discussed when we were out looking at 119 a couple of weeks ago. Scottsboro and Water, Sewer, and Gas participating this year in our bid process. Is that doable?
Yes, we had a conversation with the engineer who assured us he was going to speak with the mayor about, we did inform them that they would need to pass a resolution to be part of the joint bid program as the other municipalities have. And then essentially, once we receive the resolution, they would be included in that.
Okay, do you need specific mileage or anything like that from them to be considered, or just the resolution to participate?
Just the resolution to participate.
Okay, does that work?
Yeah, you get a copy of the resolution that you want.
We could get you something. Yeah, they had expressed to us that they really weren't interested, that they were letting the projects individually and receiving better pricing, they thought, but.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Okay. So that,
Reason we ask is all the other municipalities in the county are part of our bid package, and when we got to looking at trying to help Scottsboro with this year, they were not, and so that we were unable to help them. Okay. Jonathan, go ahead, please.
so just on the projects, one last thing and I'll move on. We had just kind of drawn in the sand here, and I'll start at the top of that and go down, thinking in the $4.5 million price range. 14 and 314, that's over 1,100 cars per day, almost a 4-mile project. Moving on down into the major minor collectors, County Road 47, that's over 1,500 cars a day. That one has a large price tag, as you see. 77, kind of think about that as an option. That's a 1995 last project done year pavement. That's over 1,500 cars a day. County Road 58, near 1,500 cars a day, 5.9 mile project. And then last, down in the pavement preservation, County Road 21. That's that whole corridor from essentially the railroad tracks all the way to Pikeville Store. That would be over a 5-mile project, and that's over 1,800 cars a day. So a lot of those have a large price tag, but they carry high ADT, so very major roads, and they're all in need of work there. So that would probably round out the funding. I will mention County Road 67 as an alternate to the 77, just us thinking as a 4-mile project. It's a little lower on ADT, but that's a pavement preservation process where we would achieve over 4 miles for those dollars. So that's just our thoughts at a glance, and we'll look forward to the meeting and further discussion.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next, access management policy.
Thank you, Chairman. So we led into this from previous discussions about maintenance activities as it's centered around access to county roadways, in particular driveways, and the current process in which the county is participating in the installation of driveway pipe installations for property owners. So when we look at and consider ceasing of those operations, we do have the ability to perform those. but it's not necessarily a requirement to perform those. So currently, by performing those duties, we are trading something and receiving something. In our activities in performing that, we are having some authority on the way that they're constructed, the location they're placed, the size of the structures that are in the roadside ditch, etc. So as we look at the options of withdrawing that bargaining power, then access management policy more comprehensively would be the suggestion from our department on how to manage some of the same items, but probably also more. And I would submit to you that the other components of that are already in need, at least partially and occasionally. So what you have before you, and it was 3 pages that are essentially together, and they're titled Access Management Policy. And so 2 are 2 exemplary policies from 2 other counties. And then the last piece of information is the actual permit. So Elmore County policy and then Lee County policy, both of these counties are much larger than us and are experiencing constant growth, I'm certain. And so both of these were examples that we were able to get our hands on and look at as possible templates to model after. So both of these in further study are essentially the same until we get to the part about turn lane requirements. So if we think about the use of parcels that would adjoin the county roads and right-of-way, then that use would really dictate the requirements on that access. So thinking of the goal of mobility and access and being able to provide both of those, then some of the requirements could get into actually requiring turn lanes for different structures and different buildings and facilities that are on those use. So there are different breakdowns in there for review, and so we just wanted to provide those as study. So we're not necessarily offering up on that we adopt these, but I do believe that it's worth a look and studying to see if that's a direction that we would feel comfortable heading in.
So Jonathan, without even looking, and I haven't had a chance to read this, I mean, we will maintain control pretty much before we issue the permit by being able to send maybe one person out to inspect the area before issuing the permit, correct? Is that what you had in mind?
So by adoption of a policy like this, we would essentially move from doing the work to requiring a permit for the work. So we would be contacted in advance of any access, and the authority would rest in these policies to be able to go out and actually enforce or remove access or deny access if there's non-compliance.
Before the permit's issued, you would go out and see that site?
Yeah, so the last sheet is the actual permit, and that would be submitted to us. There's no fee in either example, or authority to charge a fee is best I can determine. But the permit would be completed, and there's information there that would provide us the location. And yes, to answer your question, we would go out and inspect the location as well as during and after construction to make sure there was compliance with the specifications and the requirements.
It's not like you go down here to the courthouse and get a permit for the code.
It's not that dissimilar to a permit now for subdividing property or something along those lines.
Thank you.
So going back to the original, where we were having to devote man hours, if we're having to pre-inspect, during inspect, post-inspect, how are we going to cover that with manpower?
This would change sides of the house. So this would all be orchestrated from the engineering forces within Public Works. So if you think about the assistant county engineer and the engineering assistants that participate in bridge inspection, project inspection, the hot mix paving projects with contractors, this would fall in
So
that.
what would be the net impact on the work they're already doing? I mean, I don't think they're sitting there waiting on an order to come in, hopefully.
Yeah, I think this is way more manageable from that aspect than what we're doing now, quite honestly.
If we're sending like 3 people out to do this?
It'd be a 5-man crew.
5-man crew to put installed
So that frees up that crew for the work?
Yes, sir.
to do the chip seal.
It's not a daily activity that we install driveway pipes, but, you know, it is an activity as you've seen from the reports.
Okay, and we can discuss that some more tomorrow in the budget hearing.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay,
Yes, thank you.
thank you. Next, we'll turn it over to our county administrator, Mr. Manning, along with our county engineer, but the proposed budget amendment for Public Works. Or do I? Oh, no, I'm sorry, we have one of them. That's the fleet truck surplus and purchase.
I'm almost done, I promise.
Take your time, man.
J.M. Wood is
He
the,
should get the 5-minute timer in case you're wondering.
I'm fine with comments.
Beyond that.
It's titled J.M. Wood, the document I'll reference in this. It's a July 6th proposal for surplus of trucks. So what we'd like to present you with tonight are two pickup trucks. They're 2020 models, and they're similar to the ones we just sold. They were lagging in mileage, so their rotation is essentially now. They're 34 and 36,000 mile trucks respectively. And the proposal, you can see on the last sheet of that agreement, with a total guarantee less than 6% commission rate. And that is obviously a guarantee, but not necessarily auction price. Probably the most recent data we'd have to offer is the very last sheet of the page, in where those trucks, the photo that's on that sheet that has been previously presented to you, that is the exact style truck that we're proposing to surplus. And the replacement purchase is detailed on the governmental order sheet. So that is a state bid order form, and essentially none of those selections are ours, okay? So we're still in a situation where availability is driving all markets, and availability is what drives the selection on what we can get. So the available trucks, what we've been informed, the available trucks are a 23, in this particular case is F-150 4x4, and it's a Super Crew. And these are equipped with XTX package, which is still, I would submit to you, somewhat middle of the road, but provides good resale. So you see the basic truck price, the package total cost, and then the engine configuration is again what's available, and then the other add-ons are trailer brake controller and skid plates, which are essentially part of that package. So the total price that you see is in the box below, and we would request that we order 2 of those for the replacement inventory that's before you for consideration of surplus. We have included the last sheet that we have included. You've seen that before on the briefing we did from the auction, but that is, in my opinion, a reasonable expectation of what we could see for the sale of the current inventory that we would be in surplus. So actually, I guess it's however you consider it, but if you look at the surplus sale and assume some things on that end, and then difference that with the 2 unit purchase price, then we're probably looking in the $38,000 range as far as difference. So ultimately, we would be comparing purchase price on those vehicles that would surplus to the sale price that we realize in auction, and then we would start the cycle over with new inventory, obviously.
Okay. Any questions? Question for me, can we put this agenda next meeting?
Yes, sir.
That's fine?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Comment, questions?
Thank you.
All right. Jonathan?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Now to the budget amendment. We have received some grant funds from the state for County Road 74 and some others that we have received. We've also had some expenditures as we have our share of the cost of work on some of these roads. So Mr. Manning, let me turn this over to you, proposed budget amendment.
Yes, sir. As the chairman had mentioned, we've got a couple of grants that have come in that we did not know about last year, so what we're recommending is to transfer, to go ahead and record the transfer of the $180,000 from the general fund to the public works fund for the county's portion of County Road 74. That's already been approved in the meeting. All we're doing is just recording the transfer to the general, from the general fund to the public works fund for that. And then we need to record $380,000 for the state grants. One of them was a $250,000 grant for County Road, Jonathan.
19.
County Road 19, $250,000 grant.
Yes, sir.
County Road 19. And then another $130,000 that we had received. So we're basically just going to record revenues of $560,000 and expenditures of $560,000 in the contract services for the work that we've done on that. So it will not affect the net of the budget at all. We'll just record the revenues and the expenditures, get it up to date.
Yeah, the County Road 19 was the A-Trip grant that we got from Aldott and the governor, so. Okay. Any questions? Next meeting, we can put it on the new business agenda to approve this budget amendment. Everybody okay with that? Okay. If that concludes our work session. At this time, we'll go into reports from the staff. County Administrator?
Just a reminder of the budget hearings. Next 2 days coming up. We've already advertised those, sent all the notices out, so if you can be here, look forward to seeing you. That's it for me.
County Engineer, anything else?
Nothing, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you. County Attorney?
How do you think at this time? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any comments from anyone else? Okay. So thanks very much. At this time, we'll do comments from the commission. District 4, Commissioner McBride.
Thank you to the Phillips family for being here. We appreciate you guys coming. Appreciate y'all. Good job by all. These guys put a lot of hard work into helping our county grow in a positive way, and sometimes it seems like it's a slow go, and it is a slow go, but we're moving forward, which I think is great.
District 3, Commissioner Buckner.
Just thank everybody for being here, especially you guys for what you're doing, and honored that you chose to make our area your home.
Thank you.
You've been good folks to have, so thank you.
District 2, Commissioner Kinnemer.
I'd like to request some prayer and thoughts for folks on County Road 222. Back a few days ago, had some storms go through there. Looked like a bomb had been dropped. It's been through there, so. And in Lonville, I think there was some damage, so prayers for those folks. I don't recall any major injuries, so that was a great deal.
District 1, Commissioner Gully.
Well, I thank you folks for coming and bringing your issues to us, and hope we can come together and look at some ways to help you in helping that endeavor. And, I'd just like to give some praise to the unsung heroes of Scottsboro Jackson County Rescue Squad, and Rosalie Rescue Squad and all. Which I'm a member of Jackson County, but we got called out on Friday evening for a drowning in Langston. Rescue squad's out for 38 hours dragging, and this is all volunteer force, and these guys do it all for free. And what little stipend they get from the county, I mean, that's money well spent with all the work that goes into the water rescues, the cave rescues, and then a lot of rescues down at the walls of Jericho. So kudos to those guys for the things that they do.
Thank you. I certainly agree with all. I'd also just like to say thanks to those folks who responded. Our members, our county employees, our departments that responded to last week, County Road 222, helping with the cleanup, helping the towns and areas around the towns as they dealt with this. And so And also like to say thanks to the city of Scottsboro who loaned equipment to help us in that process. And I think, and also to reference you as Mayor Skipper, worked through that, and everybody up there who was working to do that. So thanks very much for that. Our next meeting is July the 24th, 2023 at 5 o'clock here. And with that, at this time, we need to go into executive session for discussion of good name and character. So do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks for everyone for being here. I truly appreciate it.